So we've got something real special for you guys this time. It was a huge group effort. We had a bunch of help, so I'm going to give shout outs as we go. We set out to test true desert runners to see which one did the best. We got ZR2s, diesel, gas. We got Ford Raptors, Gen 1s, Gen 2s, and Dustin with his Toyota Tacoma. We weren't able to get all the Tacomas, so it's not a fair comparison with the TRDs, but we'll have more of that later, and more on Toyotas later. I got an issue of correction about last episode. Again, this video was a huge collaboration between 4 different groups, and it was all just to test these different vehicles out to show you guys and to test out different off-road modifications. So now a bit of a spoiler alert. We put out a poll to see who you guys thought would win this on Instagram. Everyone guessed the Ford Raptor. Even ZR2 owners were like, of course the Raptor's going to win. There's a reason this video is titled An Underdog Story. Stay tuned, you're going to be surprised. So we had a little chase lap, more like a guided tour of the loop, pointed out the hazards, everything you need to know, and then we immediately got on to racing. We did 1 practice lap and then 1 timed lap per vehicle. This is the first truck we got going. It's a Gen 2 Raptor. As far as modifications, it's got Devers, it's got turbo adapters, it's got an intercooler upgrade. So a stock Raptor will give you 450 horsepower. This one, with all the upgrades, gives you an extra 20 to 30. It's running the stock BFG Goodrich tires on Method race wheels. Those are the same wheels we had on our Gen 2 Raptor. They're awesome for high speed, for cornering, for all that stuff. You will get slight rubbing though at full flex, and if you jump it. Alright, I'm going to mix in footage from his practice run because that drone right there, it's awesome, but even that drone couldn't keep up with the full speed on the official timed lap. So I'm going to use this practice run to show out the course for you. It's got 3 turns up front. These first 3 turns are where the ZR2 has an advantage because the track's real narrow here. On the corners and the straightaways, the entire track is littered with embankments and drop-offs. So you get through the first 2 turns, which are basically just giant sweeping S-turns. Not too bad, but you can lose it if you go a little too crazy. And this is where the track gets interesting because coming out of that S-turn, everyone's coming out hot and it's a blind left turn coming up to a sharp left turn. So like I said, all the way up to turn 3 right there, the midsize have an advantage. But from there on, it's just flat open. There's a couple dips. There's a couple sections with big elevation drops on corners, but it's just wide open left turn after that. So a huge shout out to John from Precision Hobbies. If it wasn't for him and his awesome equipment, we wouldn't have been able to show you a complete lap. Between Dustin and us, we have 2 Phantom 4 Pros. They wouldn't have kept up with these trucks. John is the guy in a blue Gen 1. He just bought it, the Gen 1 from the intro. He didn't run any time laps because he wanted to record for you guys. So big shout out again. Thanks, John. I'm going to put his contact info in the description just so you guys can hit him up if you're in the market for anything from a hobby drone to something professional like this. This last turn approaching the finish line is where it gets interesting for Ford Raptors and any modified vehicle with off-road racing wheels. It's basically a long sweeping left at high speeds and you're flirting with the limits of your traction the whole time. So anything with a wider stance, anything aired down has a huge advantage here. So now we got a V6 ZR2. A stock V6 puts out 308 horsepower, but this one's got a GG tune giving it an extra 25 horsepower. It's got a GM Performance exhaust and a GM Performance intake as well. Also, it's got a 1¼ inch leveling kit up front so it can stuff those 33-inch tires under there. This was the fastest recorded Gen 1 Raptor time of the day, but it comes with an asterisk, more on that later. A stock Gen 1 will give you 411 horsepower. This one has a black widow exhaust with a K&N intake. It also has a 91 octane tune and Eagle alloy wheels with 37-inch Toyo tires. It's got 3-inch shocks up front and 3.5-inch shocks in the rear. But there was a discrepancy here. The first lap came in ridiculously fast and none of us believed it. The timers admitted there was a mistake made, so we asked for a do-over. We ended up using a GoPro for the official times and editing. There was a GoPro set up at the finish line that could hear the starter shout 1, 2, 3, go, and also catch the trucks as they pass the finish line. With this process, we're able to narrow official times down to 100ths of a second, and that's why this truck gets an asterisk. Its first run was very good, but its second was the best Gen 1 time of the day, and it was the only vehicle to get 2 laps. This next Gen 1 Raptor is pretty heavily modified. It's got Roush Stage 2 supercharger, Roush cold air intake, Roush catback exhaust. It's got 37-inch KO2 tires. KO2s are the same stock tires as the Raptor, but bigger. It's got methods, SVC brake bars, devers, and it's got 3.5-inch Fox bypass shocks in the rear. This next truck had a really interesting turn 3. It's a Gen 2 Raptor with 2.5-inch RPG collars up front so it can stuff those 37-inch BFG project tires. Those tires are on stock wheels, which is uncommon because most use beadlocks to run those tires, but it looks great. It's also got an AFE power program tune, a K&N filter, and a MagnaFlow exhaust. We're lucky to have so much help from Dustin and John with the drone footage and just the extra footage because we lost a lot of GoPros. We recovered them, more about that later. Coming up is turn 3. He's the one that messed it up the most, but he powered through. He didn't care. Regardless of lap times, this right here is why you want to Ford Raptors. You would just plow through your off-road mistakes. The next truck coming up too also had a big mistake here. So next up we have this Gen 2. Without him, without his group called Dirt Days, we wouldn't have been able to put this video together for you guys. He helped immensely with administration, safety, just organizing it. We're calling it David's Loop. We're not showing you guys where it's at just for liability reasons. You're welcome to go with us if you want to contact them or us on Instagram next time we go. But yeah, David's the one that found it. He took his little group out there, and the second they saw it, they knew what they had. They had a 2-mile test track. This is a stock Gen 2. Again, a stock Gen 2 puts out 450 horsepower. The wheels on this truck are the factory beadlocks, which aren't true beadlocks, but they're upgraded to become true beadlocks, so he can air down much more than we can. It's got geyser springs up front and beavers in the rear as well. So here comes turn 3 again, that hard left turn, and pay attention to how much time he loses. He messed it up pretty bad. And then factor in his final time. So we're guessing on the last stretch of this run, he was easily in the 90s because he had one of the best times of the day, even with all this time loss. No vehicle damage, he just completely missed the turn. We started this channel because we were new to off-roading when we bought the Gen 2 and we didn't know where to go. We couldn't look up where to go out or any reviews on places. So that's how this channel started, just reviewing off-road locations and helping other off-roaders. That's what the group Dirt Days is dedicated to, just to helping people, taking them to different spots they've never seen before. If you're new, if you're experienced, they're no slouches. They drive hard, they drive fast, and they go deep, but they'll also guide you through everything. So I'll put a link to them in the description as well. Next up is this Duramax zr2 diesel variant. A lot of people are interested in mid-size diesels, but think twice because of the horsepower. Stock it puts out 181 horsepower, but it can tow about 5,000 pounds. A standard Colorado can tow almost 8,000 pounds. That's insane for a mid-size. To address the horsepower issue, however, this diesel is tuned up. It puts out 230 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. It also has a 1¼ inch leveling kit to fit those off-road race wheels and bigger 33-inch tires. If you consider yourself a true truck geek, this is the one to watch. This next truck is not a Raptor, it's a Raptor Conversion. It started its life as a 2011 F-150 FX4. It has a 3.5 liter V6 Raptor Conversion complete with all Ford OEM parts. It has 3-inch shocks up front, 4-inch shocks with devers in the rear. It has an oil catch can, it has a transmission cooler and intercooler from Full Race, and of course it's on method race wheels with 35-inch Toyo tires. It has much more stuff, too much to mention here, but this is basically a Gen 1 Raptor body style with modern Gen 2 components in it with upgraded suspension. I guess he couldn't make up his mind because this is basically an F-150 Gen 1 Gen 2 hybrid monster, which is almost the smart thing to do because why buy a Raptor, upgrade it, and throw away all those premium parts? He also started building an F-150 Gen 2 Raptor Conversion, so follow him if you're into that. This is another unique truck that you might be interested in its time. It's special because it has the original 5.4 liter engine that came with the original Raptors. Stock they put out 310 horsepower, but this one has some upgrades. It has a Flowmaster Outlaw exhaust, a pedal commander. It has 2.5-inch shocks front and back with D reliefs and method race wheels with 35-inch Toyo tires. Up next we have this Gen 1. This Gen 1 would have had the best Gen 1 time of all the trucks today, but because of the timing mishap and the second lap, the other Gen 1 has it. Either way, did a great run, and he and his wife found my cameras, which is awesome. We were losing cameras left and right, and again, thanks to Dustin and John for all the extra footage. If not, we wouldn't have much of a video. This truck's running a stock 6.2 liter engine still. It's got a transmission cooler, 3-inch shocks up front and in the rear, Deaver springs with overload leaves, method bead locks, and 35-inch Arturo tires. He's representing ROC, Raptor Off-Road Community, and he had one of the best turn 3s of the day. We made a Pismo video for them not too long ago. I'm gonna put a link in the description so you can follow them. Next up is a stock Gen 2 Raptor. You guys have no idea how hard it is to find a stock Raptor or any stock off-road vehicle for testing. This one does have some method race wheels though, but it's still on the 35-inch KO2 BF Goodrich tires. A lot of people switch out tires first chance they get, but we love these BFG tires. They run a smidge small, so fair warning, if your stock vehicle has these tires and you change them, you might get slight rubbing. If you have a Gen 2 Raptor and you're thinking about doing some mods to it, pay attention to this time. This was the best Gen 2 time and the second best lap time of the day. This truck is basically stock suspension except for Deavers and bump stock kit. It's also got some off-road race wheels, but it's got a Whipple kit that gives it an extra 70 horsepower, and it really helped him on this run because he was flying. So next up is Dustin in the 2017 Tacoma TRD Off-Road 4x4. This is the one we got to issue a correction. Last episode we called this a TRD Sport. I just got confused in switching information and I didn't do my research. A couple of you guys caught it, noticing the rear locking diffs. Whatever, good. You guys were all nice. Thank you for putting out the correct information. We can't really call his run a comparison. He was the only Tacoma out there. You've seen all the times varying on all the other trucks. And he was so busy recording, which by the way, he's going to have an alternate video to this again, just like the previous episode, so I'll put a link there. We shared footage with him, but he was too busy recording for you guys to do a practice lap. He was the only Tacoma, so he wasn't really racing against anybody, but just so you guys could see, this is probably about 80% of what we were doing. I'll give you guys an idea if you're a Toyota fan, but we're definitely coming back out here with this truck with their pre-runner build, and we're gonna do a Toyota episode just for you guys. So then it was our turn, and fair warning, if you're on the fence about buying a Raptor or a ZR2 and price is a factor, this lap time might settle it for you. So like I said, turns 1 through 3, it's all mid-size category. This is where the mid-size have the advantage. You're just smaller, so you can pick better lines, so you're faster into corners and faster out of corners. But after that dreaded turn 3, it's all Raptor country there. It's just that long left swoop. So to compensate for that, I aired down more on the driver's side than I did on the passenger side, just to make it left turn bias. And I'm running stock everything. Stock suspension, no leaves, I haven't modified anything, my quick, everything's 100% intact. Stock tires, I need new tires by the way. We just ran it hard. Like I said, 100% stock, even had a dirty air filter. And it turned out to be the fastest run of the day. And according to the guys from Dirt Days, it's currently the track record here. This was a late arrival. No chase lap, no practice lap, no nothing. Just showed up late in their stock ZR2 and wanted to join in the fun. We said sure. So follow us on Instagram, follow Dirt Days on Instagram, follow Dustin on Instagram, and you could just tag along and enjoy these trips with us. So this is the part of the video where we're supposed to tell you what truck is best. Honestly, it all came down to driver decisions, driver errors. So whether you're into TRDs, whether you're into Raptors, or you're into ZR2s, no matter what you love, you're gonna have to drive it, you're gonna have to practice, you're gonna get better, and the only way to have the best off-road vehicle in the world is to keep it dirty. So thanks for watching everybody. Please subscribe and like. I'll put links to the alternate video in the description. I'll put links to all the vehicles in the description as well, so you can follow your favorite build. And if you want to go on one of these trips with us, just follow us on Instagram. We do all the organizing through there.